Hello everyone, welcome to Tutorials by Decade. My name is Decade, and in this video we are going to work on getting our breakable objects to work. Excuse me. So in the last video we were able to get our character to swing a sword now. One quick little fix on that. If we go to our animator for our sword attack here, and we go to here. Yeah, we go to the transition from sword attack tree to the idle tree. Let's get rid of fixed duration. And we'll change that to 0. Now if we hit play, our animation looks a little bit smoother and we can't move while we're animating it and turn halfway through our animation. So that fixed that issue there. So now that that's out of the way, let's hop into what we're here for. So let me pull up my notes on the other one here. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a breakable pot. So in order to do that, the first thing we need to do is we need to go to our sprites. And we need to go to our world. And then our objects here. And we should already have this set, but we might not have the pot set yet. So we need to go to Open Sprite Editor. And here's our pot. But you see it's broken up into 16 because that's what we wanted it to do earlier. But we don't want these to be 16s. We want these to be 32 by 32. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete 1, 2, and 3 just by highlighting it and hitting delete. And then we're going to leave 1. And we're going to stretch that to 32 by 32. And then we're going to do the exact same thing for all of these animations right here. And this one's a little tricky because there's not one here in this corner. Oh, I just created one. There's not one here, so we're just going to delete that one, and then go to there. Now, you can see this one, there's barely anything, but that's what we want for our last animation. So now that we have that all taken care of, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things set to 32 by 32, we can hit apply. And then once Unity does its thing, we can close that out. And then we can go to our objects. And we can scroll down until we find our pot. And there it is. We want the smaller one here. And we're going to just drag that out into the world and just drop it. We'll drop it right about there. We'll put it exactly at 0, and we'll put it down one more, so 3.5. There we go. And as you can see, it's behind the world. So for now, we're just going to put it on the player layer. You know what? Let's not mess around with this. Let's add a sorting layer, and in between these, we're going to put an items layer. So still be above ground, but below player. And now if we go back to the object, we can put it on the items layer. There we go. We're going to rename this to Breakable Pot. And what we're going to do is we are going to add a box collider 2D. And we'll edit that so it's roughly the size of the pot. There we go, that should work. Then we're going to add another box collider 2D. We're going to click is trigger. And we want this to be slightly bigger than the pot, but not much. This will be the trigger that sets off the animation to actually break the pot. And then once we have all that in place, we're going to add an animator. And we're going to click on our breakable pot, and we're going to click create animation. And we want to put this in our animations folder. We're going to create a new folder. just do items. Then in that folder, another new folder, and we're going to do Breakable Pots. And then we're going to do something on the lines of BP underscore idle. And what we're going to do is we're going to get our pot here, and we're just going to drop it in there. And there we go. That's all we need to do for idle. We're going to create one more clip. We're going to name that BP break. And we're going to drop in this animation, that animation, that animation. Now the fourth one kind of went down to here, and boom. So if I went a little too fast for you there, we want this one here, this one here, this one here, and this one here, so that if yours are all named the same as mine, it should be object 214, object 179, 177, and 175. What we're going to do is we're going to hit play real fast, and that looks about right. But what we forgot to do is we forgot to add this one again. There we go. That looks about what we want. Now you can make that faster or slower by moving these closer for faster or further away for slower, but I think that looks pretty good. So now with Breakable Pot selected, we're going to go up to our Animator. And just because it annoys me when these aren't in line, we're going to put these in line. We are going up here to our parameters. We're going to hit the plus. We're going to make a bool, and we're going to put in is broken. And then we're going to right click on idle, and we're going to make transition to break. We're going to click on that transition. We're going to get rid of exit time. We're going to get rid of fixed duration. And then conditions, we're going to hit the plus. And then is broken true. That should be all we need to do here in Unity for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our scripts. And we're going to create a new folder in here. And we're just going to name it items. And then in items, we're going to make another folder. And we'll put breakable. And inside breakable, we will make our script. So go to mono behavior script here, and we are going to name it BreakableObject. Unity is going to do whatever it's doing here. And we're going to then open up BreakableObject. We're going to get rid of all that stuff. And up here, we're going to put above all that using system.collections. And I'm not sure if we've done this yet on any of our other scripts. Oh, we have, where we require a component. So if I never explained that before, or if you skipped that video, or if it's been a while since you've seen that video and you don't remember, we can require components. So what that does is, if we put a requirement here, it will not let you put this script on anything unless it has the required component. So we want a collider 2D, because in order for this to work, we need a collider 2D. Once you have that done, we're going to start working on all of our variables. So we're going to put a header, and we'll do break settings. Then we'll do our little tooltip here. And we're going to put how long to wait before removing the object after the break animation starts. Then we're going to serialize that field. And then we're going to do a private float break duration equals 0.33f. We'll be able to adjust that in the inspector in Unity. So if you have an animation that takes longer or shorter, we'll be able to take care of that there. We're going to do another tooltip, and we are going to put, should this object be completely destroyed after breaking? And then we are going to put a little plus here. We'll hit enter, and then we'll put if false, it will just be disabled. So you'll see what that tooltip looks like here once we get to back into Unity. But the reason why we're doing this, we may not want to. We want to put this line in here. Sorry, typing and talking at the same time sometimes doesn't work for me. Anyway, the reason why we're putting this in here is after an item is destroyed, we need to figure out if we want that item to respawn later or if we want that item to be completely destroyed. Now, if we do completely destroy an item and we want it to come back later, there is a way that we can do that, but it involves a lot more lines of code, and we want to try to keep things nice and easy. So for now, we defaulted this to false, but if we have it on true, you'll see later in the code that once we break it, it's destroyed, it's gone forever. And there may be a few things you want to do that with, so that's why we have this option in here. Next tooltip, can this object currently be broken? So for now, everything's going to be broken. So we're going to do a private bool can be broken, and we're going to default that to true. But you might not want something to be able to be broken unless you've met a certain condition. So in other words, you might not want, a blockade to break until you've acquired a certain item or until you've acquired a certain tool. So for now, we're just going to have everything able to be broken, but later down the road, you may not want to be able to break something right away. So that's why we have that in there. So once we get those three in there, we can now work on the animator. So we're going to do header, and then animator. And then our first tooltip here is going to be the animator that controls the break animation. We're going to serialize that field, and then we're going to do private animator, and for now we'll just do animator. And then we're going to do things a little bit differently than we have in the past, but it's the exact same concept with the animator. What we're going to do here is tooltip, name of the bool parameter that triggers the break animation. And we're going to serialize that field. We're going to do private string break bool name, and then we're going to default that to what we already put in the Unity animator is broken. All right, and then there's one more thing that we need to do. We just need a private bool is breaking, and we're going to default that to false. And that should be all the variables that we need for right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start putting some things in here. We're going to do private void awake. And in here, if animator is null, meaning there is no animator, we're going to try to automatically grab that animator. So it already figured out kind of what I was trying to do. So there it is. So animator equals get component animator. And that is all we need to do for awake. So now we need a private void on trigger enter 2D, and then it automatically fills this in for me, but I don't like collision, I like other. So in here we're going to do if, and then if it is not can be broken, meaning we're not able to break it yet, or if it is already breaking, so is breaking. So if it's either one of those two, we're just going to return and do absolutely nothing because, well, it can't be broken or it's already breaking. However, if it's in any other state, we're going to do if. Why does it do that? Yeah, sometimes. There we go. If other dot compare tag and then player sword then we're going to do a few things here. Or actually, we're only going to do one thing. We're going to do a few things in the coroutine. I believe we've done coroutines before. If not, a coroutine is something that happens over time, essentially, and doesn't happen all at once, or certain conditions are met. Like it happens over time. But anyway, that's all we're going to do for on-trigger enter 2D right now. Later down the road, when we have other tools and other weapons, we can add more here so that way other things can break the pot or whatever the breakable object is. But for now, that is all we need to do. And now we need to actually create this coroutine. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a private enumerator break routine. And in here, we're actually going to break the object as well as do a couple other things. Now, this is going to stay red until we actually make some time pass. But before we make any time pass, as soon as this starts, we want to do is breaking equals true. We're going to put can be broken equals to false because it's already being broken. And then if there is an animator, so animator not equals null, and not string dot is null or empty, and then breakable name. So in other words, if the animator exists and if the string has something in it, then we are going to do animator dot set bool breakable name to true, not false. That way it actually plays the animation. Now here's where we're going to get that little error to go away. We're going to do a yield return new, wait 4 seconds, and then break duration. So what that means is it's going to run this block of code, then it's not going to do anything for however long we have break duration. Once that time runs out, then we're going to do anything after that. So we're going to do what's called on broken, and this is going to give you an error because we haven't created on broken yet, but don't worry about that. We'll be fixing that here real soon. And then down here, we're going to do if destroy on break, then we are going to destroy the game object. Else, if it's not destroy on break, we are going to do game object dot set active to false. So this is where it's going to make the decision on whether or not you're destroying it permanently or if you're just deactivating it to activate it later down the road. Now here's what we're going to do here. We're going to do that on broken, but I don't think we've ever done a summary before. So if we hit these 3 little slashes and then in the little angled brackets here we put summary, it creates a summary. So override or extend this later for loot drops, sounds, or whatever else. So summaries kind of work on, like, if we were to say here, put determine whether to destroy or deactivate. So 2 little things is just a note, but a summary is something that can be viewed outside of this. So like if you were to do in another script, you were to access the unbroken, you'd be able to highlight over the, like, see where it says set active and you get all that information. Well, creating a summary will do the same thing for what we're about to do here. So we're going to do protected virtual void unbroken. So I believe we've already talked about inheritance on the base NPC and wandering NPC. How we inherited from the wandering NPC inherited from base NPC. Well, breakable object is going to be inherited by other scripts. So we're not going to put breakable object by itself on anything. We're going to create new scripts to do things. So here, this is all we're going to do. We're just going to leave this blank for now. Right. With that being said, we are done with the breakable object script. So hit Command S or Control S to save. We are going to go back into Unity real fast. Let it do its thing. While it's doing that, I'm going to take a quick drink because my throat is killing me. There we go. All right. So now that script's done, we're going to right click and we're going to create another script and we're going to name this one Breakable Pot. And let Unity do its thing. So in Breakable Pot, we're really not going to do anything other than inherit from the breakable object. Well, let me rephrase that. We're not going to do anything right now, but later down the road, once we get like loot drops and stuff like that, we are going to do something. And let me give you a quick little example of what that's going to look like. So in Breakable Pot, we're going to do protected override void unbroken. And we're not going to use the base one. Instead, we're just going to put in here a longer note, and this will be the example for future use. So if you're going to be following along with me, we'll be doing this stuff somewhere down the road. Not too far down the road, but somewhere down the road. We're not doing this right now. But if you're familiar with Unity and you're familiar with C# and programming and all that other stuff, you can go ahead and do this. Now, if you want, you can skip ahead a little bit. It all depends on what you're comfortable with. But here is an example of what we're going to do. So here we would do instantiate. And then we're going to do, ignore my phone, we're going to do coin prefab transform.position quaternion dot identity. So essentially what this line of code would do is it would create a prefab that we would already have set up at the position of where the script is at. So like we did coin prefab. So eventually we're going to do a, coins, and then it would do that. And then while we're at it, we would also do audio source dot play clip at point, and then break sound if we had a break sound, and then where it would be transform dot position. So this is just a quick little example of what we can do here. We can create a prefab at this location, and then we can play a sound. Now, when we get into loot tables, we're not going to not every single pot is going to give you a coin or an object or something. So we'll be able to randomize and create like a loot table and things like that. But this is just a quick example of what we can do. So I'm just going to save this And then we're going to just go into Unity here. And you saw that there was nothing in that script, but we're still going to put that script on the pot because we're inheriting from the breakable object script, right? So that's why all this stuff fills in. So all we really need to do is the animator here. We just need to grab the breakable pot again and just drop it in there, or you can just grab the animator from here and drop it there. If not, the code setup where it'll automatically try to do that is broken. Just want to make sure that matches that is broken. We want to make sure this can be broken, and we do not want to destroy it on break, and the break duration should actually be 0.33, but it doesn't really matter. Now if we hit play, we come down here, boom, we're able to break the pot. If you're not able to break the pot, the one thing that you want to do is you want to go to your sword attack here and check all 4 of these and make sure your tag, go away Xbox, you want to make sure this tag here matches this. Because again, the theme for a lot of my videos is spelling, capitalization, and all that stuff is extremely important, especially on things where you will not get an error. So anything you have in quotes like this, if you spelled it wrong, or if you forgot to capitalize something, or if something's not supposed to be capitalized and you accidentally did it, it's not going to give you any errors because this isn't fully linked to Unity. So in other words, whenever we're comparing tag, Visual Studio can't look into Unity and go, oh, wait a minute, this is supposed to be a capital P instead of a lowercase p. It has no idea. So again, it is very important that you pay attention to that. So if you're not able to break the pot, there's a very good chance that your compare tag is either spelled wrong or capitalized wrong or something. So double check that. If you're still not able to break the pot, then double check all of your code. Make sure you've done it all right. And then double check that you have 2 box colliders and one of them is set as a trigger. And then make sure that second one is just slightly bigger than the pot. If you're still unable to break the pot after that, send me a message either on Discord or leave a comment on this video, and I will do what I can to get back to you and see what is going on. But that's it for this video. You were able to break pots. And just to make sure it works from any angle, there we go. And you're also able to walk through it once the pot is destroyed because we didn't destroy the game object, we just deactivated it, which is why it's grayed out here. If I were to reactivate it, there it is again. And it's reactivated and you can't walk through it, but you can't destroy it again because we didn't do any code or anything on reanimating this stuff yet. So even though we reactivated it, it still thinks it's broken. So if I click can't be broken again, yeah, because we didn't do any of the code to actually reanimate this thing, it is not allowing you to break it again yet. But we will be doing that soon because once we get enemies, we're going to have it set where if you leave a room for a certain period of time and then go back in the room, everything spawns back in that we want to spawn back in. So, but nonetheless, there is your breakable pot. We'll break it one more time just for fun. Yay. All right, so that is it for this video. So I'm going to end it here. If you liked the video and it was helpful for you, be sure to give it the big old thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, as I have videos like this coming out all the time, and I don't want you to miss anything. It could get pretty crazy later down the road if you hop in a video and you were doing something and you missed 3 videos before that. So please subscribe, and it does help me out, and I do appreciate that. And with all that out of the way, as always, thank you. Have a good one, and I'll see you on the next video.